Welcome to Shas Illuminated. Please enjoy the following shiur.
We are beginning tonight's shiur in Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph. We are in the middle of Sif Yud. We are on page 52, the last line. We are up to the Ramah. The Mechaber had just told us Mutter Lishto Siyayin Yein Havdalu Birchas Hamazon, that during the 9 days, or Shua Shachalbo, or whatever the custom is, as we discussed 3 customs, but we said you are allowed to drink the wine of the Havdalah and the wine of benching. So we pick up tonight with the Ramah. The Ramah says, V'nohagim lahachmir. Our minhag is to be machmir shelo lishto siyayin bebirchas hamazon v'lo behavdalah. Says the Ramah, our minhag is not like the Mechaber says, but rather our minhag is not to drink the wine of benching and not the wine of Havdalah. Elanosnim latinok. Rather, we give it to a young child. Ubemakom deleka tinok mutter bi'atzma lishtos havdalah. In a place where there is no child to give the wine to, then you are allowed to drink yourself the havdalah wine. Then the Ramah says, Ubesudas mitzvah kigon milo pidin aben v'siyum maseches v'seudas erisim. When it comes to a sudas mitzvah, for example, a mila, a pidin aben, a siyum on a masechta, a suda for erisin, ochlim, basar, v'shosim, yayin, kol hashayachim lasuda. You can eat meat and drink wine, all those who are shayach to the suda. Aval yesh letzamtzem shelo lahosef. However, you should be exacting and not be adding extra people. And the Ramah ends off and says, Shavua shechalbo tishaba b'socha. When it comes to Shavua shechalbo ein lechol basar v'lishtos yayin rak minyan metzumsum, then you should not eat meat and drink wine unless it is an exact size of a minyan. V'zeh afilu be'erev Tisha B'Av shari. And that would be mutter even in Erev Tisha B'Av shelo yeh b'suda shemafsik. But as long as it's not the suda shemafsekes, that would be okay. So let's go back and begin the Mishabura on page 52. We're up to Sivkatan Sameches. The Ramah told us that our minhag is to be machmir, not to drink the wine of Birchas Hamazon and not the wine of Havdalah. Says the Mishabura, Kevon de Evshar limitame letinok. Since we're able to give the wine to drink to a tinok, we will not drink it ourselves. Masha'en kein b'shar sudas mitzvah, which is not the case by a regular sudas mitzvah when you want to have wine. So giving it to a tinok is not going to help you have wine. Over here, it's more midin, the benching, midin the havdalah. You have to drink the wine, so you have a kid to give it to. So give it to the child. Sivkatan samechtes shelo lishtos yayin bebirchas hamazon. Pashat the kolze ma'ir bebirchas hamazon l'chol. That which the Ramah says that we have a minhag not to drink the wine from birchas hamazon, says the Mishabura, it's obvious that that's talking about benching during the week. Aval bebirchas hamazon the Shabbos shall gimel seudos pshita the shari. But if it's Shabbos and you're talking about benching from the gimel seudos of Shabbos, so you're allowed to drink wine on Shabbos. That's pashat. You're allowed to drink the wine yourself. Sivkatan ayin elanosim latinok. So again, the Ramah told us that when it comes to the benching wine of the weekdays, and when it comes to the Havdalah wine, we give it to a child. What age is the child have to be? It has to be Latinok shegiel lechinuch. It has to be a child that has reached the age of chinuch. V'yishter rov hakos, and he'll have to drink the majority of the kos. V'davka im lo higia adayin lehisabel al Yerushalayim. But it's dafka if he has not yet reached the age in which he understands how to mourn over Yerushalayim. So he has to be at the age of chinuch for brachos, for Havdalah, but not at the age where he already is holding by being this Aval al Yerushalayim. V'davka bazeshu mitzvah. And dafka in this case will give the child to drink, where the drinking of the wine is itself a mitzvah for benching for Havdalah. Aval below mitzvah, but if there would be no mitzvah involved, av she'enu yoder lehisabel. Even if this child is at the age that he does not know how to mourn over Yerushalayim yet, still asar bibasar v'yayin keshubari. If he's a healthy child, he's asar to have wine and meat. So it's only an exception in this case where it's for a dvar mitzvah. So better than an adult drinking the wine, so we'll give it to a child. But stam, you don't give him wine to drink. He doesn't drink wine. He does not eat meat during the 9 days. So let's see a couple of very important notes over here. Number one is note number 86. What age is that we say he has to be at the age that he's not yet ready to be in this Avel al Yerushalayim? Ule'inyan gil hachinuch lehisabel al Yerushalayim kosa b'Sha'ar Tzion lahalun. The Sha'ar Tzion will tell us later on in this siman Al yelad pachos mishei shu adayin lo begil chinuch lekach. A child who is less than 6 years old, has certainly not reached the age yet of mourning over Yerushalayim. And then he says, Vidas hastipler, she'efsher loses lishtos es yayin havdalah liyelad al gil shloshesrei. You can give the wine to a child that is under bar mitzvah. Ubir Agon Ruchai Knesi, and Ruchai Knesi explains his father's psak, Shetamo kevan shebizmanenu gam begil shloshesrei. Adayin ein yodim hisabel Yerushalayim. Even when we're 13 and possibly older, we still don't know how to mourn over Yerushalayim. And therefore you can give, according to the disciple, any child that's at the age of chinuch, he's automatically, by definition, not able to mourn on Yerushalayim. You can give it to any child over the age of chinuch. V'das hagon Rav Nissen Karelot sheyelad shemevin Gemara im Tosos min asam yodea lisabel al Yerushalayim. An interesting geder Rav Nissen Karelot gives, a child who knows how to learn Gemara with Tosos already, that's already a capability that you're able to mourn over Yerushalayim, and you should already stop giving him the wine. Ukesha'osa Avdolah ve'ein lefonav elo yelad shekfar yodea lisabel al Yerushalayim. Let's say you're making Havdalah, and the only child you have available is able to mourn over Yerushalayim. The fear of this in Karelis, he's learning very nicely Gemara Tosus. So Rav Yosef says, "Shemikom makom odif shayelad yishte." It's better that the child drinks the wine. Shechovaso le'esabel al Yerushalayim hirak midin chinuch. His inyan in being misabel al Yerushalayim is only midin chinuch. V'lo hagadol shemitzuva l'sabel m'ikra adin, not the adult who's mitzuva m'ikra adin to mourn over Yerushalayim. So still, it's better to give it to the child. Ach sheyesh rak bas ketana odesh hagadol yishte. But if the child is a girl, so we know girls in general not supposed to be drinking the Havdalah wine, then it's better the gadol drinks it by himself. Let's see one more note over here. Note number 87. Ochein ad gil shnasayim shalosh das hagon ravazner shein iser klal be'achilas basar. So we're talking about over here in the Mishabura, the age of a person that you can give him the wine of Havdalah. He has to be the age of chinuch, not yet able to mourn over Yerushalayim. But says Rav Vosner, a child till he's 2 or 3 years old, there is no iser at all in him eating meat during the 9 days. And Rav Yosef says even a bigger chiddush, shebizmanenu nowadays efshir lahokel loses lakotan ad gil teisha. You can give a child up to age 9 basar oaf, chicken, otavshel shalbas, or a fleishik dish, not the meat itself, but a fleishik dish. Kevan shedvarim elu asurim rak machmas chumra ba'alma. Since this is only an extra chumra to not have chicken, to not have a fleishik dish, so up to 9 years old, the Rav Yosef says you can give them stam during the 9 days these things to eat. V'lo chmiru zos al yuladim shelogiu l'chlal avelus. And therefore, it's a chumra ba'alma, so we weren't machmir on children that did not reach the age of Avelos for Yerushalayim. Continues the Mishabura, we're up to Sefkatan Ayin Aleph. We said in a place where there is no Tinok, the Ramah said, Mutter bi'atzmo lishtos Havdalah, you can drink the Havdalah by yourself. Now in the beginning, the Ramah discussed Havdalah and Birchas Hamazon, so he says give it to a child, and then he says if there's no child, so drink the wine of Havdalah yourself. What about the wine of Birchas Hamazon? So says the Mishabura, Aval Birchas Hamazon yuvarach below kos. If you have no child to give the kos to, so bench without a kos. Kevan the yesh poskim the av shlosha shachlu ain't tzrichim kos. Our poskim that say if you're benching with a mezumah with 3 people, you don't need a kos. Al koponim the chiagavni yesh lismoch alayos. Even if you want to be machmir in general, that if you have a mezumah that you're benching with a kos, but in this case where you have no one to give it to, that's under bar mitzvah, so then you bench without a kos, even with a mezumah. Then the Ramah told us that when it comes to a sudas mitzvah, then you are allowed to drink wine and eat meat. And the examples given of a sudas mitzvah are a bris milah, pidyon ben, siyam aseches, and seudas erusin. Says the Mishabura, Sefkatan Ayin Beis, u'b'sudas mitzvah, u'b'zeh afilu koshel birchas hamazon yesh lahatir lushtos. When it comes to a sudas mitzvah, you're allowed to drink the wine even of the birchas hamazon. The logora miyayin shebesoch hasuda dehuter. The same way you're allowed to drink wine during the sudas mitzvah, you could drink the wine of the benching of the sudas mitzvah. So that's also going to be okay. Sefkatan ayin gimel v'siyam maseches u'mikol makom im lo nizdamin b'limudo hasiyum. If it didn't work out that your siyam falls out during the 9 days, lo yimaher o ya'acher b'shvil zeh. Don't rush through to make the siyam during the 9 days. Don't slow down the pace to make the siyum on the 9 days. It has to work out that it happens to be on the 9 days. V'gamim lo haya oseh suda b'shar hayamim. And also, if he doesn't make a suda in general when he makes a siyum, so efshar shelo yasena gam ata. So it's very likely that it's not appropriate to make a siyum now either to eat meat and drink wine. Ochein in this damin karoi, but if it happens to work out during the 9 days, and he's a person who normally would make a siyum, mutarim lechol af oson shelo lomdu imohin. Then anyone who's at the siyum, even if they didn't do the learning, they would be allowed to eat meat and drink wine. If they're friends and they would have come anyway. Let's say you're in camp and you would normally make a siyum for the whole camp, so you can make a siyum for the whole camp during the 9 days as well. Now if we turn to the back of the sefer and we look at note number 91 rather, page 11 in the back of the sefer in the middle section, in note number 91 he says, what if the person making the siyum is not even participating in the meat and the wine, he's not even eating at the suda? So Shlomo Zalman says, the rest of the crowd that's there can eat even if the Messiah is not eating. He's making the siyum and they can all eat. However, you could be mechalek passively. That psak is given by tainas b'choros. Could be mechalek between that and the 9 days. Maybe it's not the same din. And then he writes, and this question, every year that I'm in camp, Bachram are asking this non-stop. The most common question at a siyum during the 9 days. The guy missed the siyum. Now he shows up to the dining room and everyone's eating meat. Can he eat meat with them? He came after the siyum, v'lo shoma es asiyum, he didn't hear it. So Rav Moshe Feinstein says, shemuter ba'achilas basar, he is allowed to eat the meat as well. Kevan shas su'uda hi sudas mitzvah, he's joining a sudas mitzvah. V'chol echad rashai lecho b'sudas mitzvah, basar v'yayin, you're allowed to have at a sudas mitzvah, basar v'yayin. So you weren't there for the actual words of the siyum, it's mutter. V'chein hora stipler, v'das HaGoner, it's in Karelitz, l'inyan tanas b'choros, Shiesh lahakel lechol af l'misha lo shomas asiyum. So he says the same thing over there, and again, possibly machalik, but that's what he says. Meidach on the other hand, when it comes again to tainas b'choros, the Ben Ish Chai writes, shetzarach l'shmoa es asiyum. Not only do you have to hear the siyum, ulahavin es hanemer sham. You have to understand the siyum. That's a hard one already. You understand what he's saying. Can't space out. You got to be listening to the siyum. V'chein das HaGoner Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, sherak shmias hasiyum matira es hatainis. Again, by tainas b'choros, so you have to actually hear the siyum in order to be matir. V'chein das HaGoner Rav Elyashiv. So it's a very big machlokas in this area, but you have certainly Rav Moshe and the Stipler to rely on. They discuss here, certainly if you're helping to set up the siyum, so you have a chiluk in the siyum, so then that would be grounds to participate in the siyum as well. Let's go weiter in the Mishabura. We are now up to Sivkotan Ayin Dalid. Here we have a very interesting Mishabura with a more interesting note. We said another example of a Sudas Mitzvah is a Sudas Erison. Now we learned earlier in this simon, if you remember, that a Sudas Erison, you can't make a Sudas Erison during this time. The after Mavur Le'el B'Siv Beis, the Asr Lasos Sudas Erison, we said you can't make a Sudas Erison. So says the Mishabura, Efshar D'Mayri Shalo B'Shas Erison. It could be this is talking that it's not at the time of the Erison. O Shalo B'Beis Arusaso, or not in the house of the Arusa. Deleka Simcha Kolkach, where there's not such great Simcha. And we had that earlier, that a Sudas Erison is only Asr when it's B'Shas Erison, B'Beis Arusaso. But if you're lacking in one of those areas, then it was Mutter. So it could be that's what we're saying over here. When you're having a Sudas Erison, in this scenario, then you could have meat and drink wine. But then he says, interesting, V'yesha mochakim elu shtei tevos. There are some that erase these two words. The list of the Sudos mitzvah that are being discussed in the Ramah, they say is Mila Pidin Aben and Siyam Aseches, and they take out Sudas Erison. Says note 92 in the back of the Sefer, an amazing Gra. B'Shalos and Shulas Levushay Mordechai, he brings B'Shem the Gra. Shebiramah Kosav Acharei Tevo Siyam Aseches. In the Ramah originally it said Siyam Aseches, and then it says Rashi Tevos V'Samech Aleph. V'Toa Matfisim, and the printing company made a mistake. B'Psichas Rashi Tevos, in opening up the Rashi Tevos, The cost when they wrote Seudas Erison, they thought Samach Aleph was Seudas Erison. Ubeemes Tzarech Lios Usfarim Acherim. The Ramah saying Siyam Maseches Usfarim Acherim. Or if you finish a Sefer of Tanakh, the Samach Aleph didn't mean Seudas Erison, so that's why they take out the Girsa of Seudas Erison. It means Siyam Maseches or a Siyam of Svarim Acherim. Kilomar Shagam Siyam al Svarim Acherim Nechshav Siyam L'Idon Seudas Mitzvah. That's an amazing gra that the Ramah never meant to say Seudas Erison. So either the Pshat of the Mishabura, that it's a very specific Seudas Erison that you're allowed to have during this time, so it's limited Simcha, but yet it's enough of a Seudas Mitzvah to be Matir Basar V'Yayin, or you just take it out. The Samach Aleph didn't mean that. It meant Svarim Acherim. Let's go weiter in the Mishabura. The Sivkot and Ayin Hey Kol HaShayachim Masuda. The Ramah said in these Seudas Mitzvos, we said Ochlim Basar V'Shosim Yayin Kol HaShayachim Lasuda. Anyone who's shayach to the Suda. Hainu Kol Misha Yaholech Bizman Acher Lasuda Zo. Anyone who would have come to the Siyam if it wasn't the 9 days. That's who's allowed to eat meat and drink wine during the 9 days. You would have come anyway. Hein Machmas Kurva, either because he's a relative of the Messiah, O Machmashul, O Avo, or he's a friend of the Messiah. V'noshem ha'shayachos lasuda b'mokum shederach lazanon lasuda. Women who have a shaychus to the suda in a place where it's normal to invite women to the suda, gam came mutter. So the women are also included in the heter of the meat and wine. The kosav ha'chayodam the eishes abal suda muteres ap b'siyam ha'sechas v'chein bonov. The wife of the one making the siyam is mutter to participate in the meat and wine, and so too the children. Umisha sholchin lo lebeso asur lalecho. You can't have the food sent to you to go. You want to stay in your bunk in camp. Just bring me back food. No, it doesn't work like that. Zakta Mishavura, Misha Shochem Lobeso Asr Lalecha. You can't eat meat if it's being delivered to your house from the Siyam. Says note 93, very interesting note 93 in the back of the Sefer again. Ach Misha Hischil Bas Suuda, but if you started at the Suda, the Achar Kach Locho Ma'achalim Lebeso, you had one hamburger and you took one hamburger to go. You had in mind when you wash, you need one hamburger here, take one hamburger back to the bunk. So the Chaim Kanievsky says, that's fine. That's called Sudas Mitzvah. You start here, you're finishing somewhere else, that's fine. And then he writes, interesting, even though normally you can't just deliver to someone's house, but the Moel and the Sandak, Sheshochem Lehem Lebesim Mesudas Abris, the Moel of the Sandak got a bris, they have to rush out, so they pack them up a deli sandwich to go. So the challenge of Divin Malkiel says, Shumutarim lecho basar v'yayin. They are allowed to have basar v'yayin. Kevan she'etzlom yom zehu yantif. Because they're the Bali bris, for them it's a yantif. Forget the Suda. Shkoyach is a Sudas mitzvah. Their whole day is a Sudas mitzvah. So what's a yantif for them? Ukumo shechasav ha-Magen Avram, l'gabe bris she'ira b'tainis bahab, just like the Ramah writes, the Magen Avram writes, by a bris that happens on the fastest of Bahab, or during Aseres Shemei Tshuva, l'nuhagim l'sanas b'yom elu, one who has a minute to fast on Bahab, or during the Aseres Shemei Tshuva, shabalei abris mutarim lechov l'shos af kodem abris. They're allowed to eat on that day, even before the bris. Mishum sheyom tov shalahem hu. Umitam zeh, for that reason, yecholam af lechov basav yayim mishalem kodem abris. For the same reason, even before the bris, they could have meat and wine of their own. So mistaber shekein hadin gam ba'avia ben ve'imo. It's logical to say not only the mole and the sandik, but also the mother and father of the baby, same thing. And if they're allowed to eat their own meat and wine before the bris, they certainly can take the food to go. It's a yontif for them. So a yontif, so you can do whatever you like. Continues the Mishabura, the weiter in Sivkot and Ayin Vav, last line on page Chav Zayin, Shelo lahosef. The last thing the Ramah told us before we got to Shavua Shechalbo is that Ochin Basa V'Shosi Yayin Kol HaShayachim L'Suda. Anyone who has a shaychus to the Sudas mitzvah during the 9 days can eat meat and drink wine. Aval yesh l'tzamtzem shelo lahosef. But says the Ramah, you should be exacting and not just adding on. Says the Mishabura, Hainu misha lo ba machmas kurva o avas reim rak lecho v'lishtos va'averuhu biyado. We don't count in the guy who didn't come because of his relationship or because of his friendship. That person is not included in. He just came to eat the meat. He's not allowed to eat meat and drink wine. Va'averuhu biyado. If he eats the meat and drinks the wine, just because he's chapping around to a suda, but he has no shaychus, so that would be an averu of eating the meat and drinking the wine during the 9 days. We'll pick up from here tomorrow. Mr. Hashem will finish the Mishnah Berurah tomorrow, and we'll go weiter through Sif Yud Aleph and weiter as well. Yashikayach.
You have been listening to a shiur from shasilluminated.org. For other shiurim on many topics, or to hear an Iyun shiur on any daf in Shas, including Ma'ar Mekaymas on each shiur, please visit www.shasilluminated.org. To order CDs or for more information, please call 203-312-SHAS. That's 203-312-7427, or email info@shasilluminated.org.